All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this virtual meeting of the Arlington Heights Village Board to order on Monday, December 7, 2020. We're meeting virtually again this evening because it is not yet practical or prudent to meet in person. First order of business is to ask if you would all please rise and join the Village Board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of
United
the
States
United States of America,
and to the republic
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Baldino,
Here.
Trustee Canty,
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Here.
Trustee LaBedz,
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Here.
Trustee Padovani,
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Here.
Trustee Scaletta,
Here.
President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we have two sets to approve tonight. The first is from the committee of the whole meeting from November 16, 2020. Are there any changes or passes? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
All right, it was trustee, I took my eyes off. It was trustee Rosenberg, seconded by trustee LaBedz. Any further questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Next are the village board meeting minutes from that same evening, November 16, 2020. Any changes or passes? Seeing none, motion.
Move approval. Second.
Motion to approve by trustee Scaletta, seconded by trustee Padovani. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Next is the approval of the accounts payable, and I call on trustee Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes. I'd move approval of the warrant register with a check date of November 30th, 2020 in the amount of $1,775,596.28.
Second.
Motion by trustee Rosenberg, seconded by trustee Scaletta. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani, Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. There are no recognitions or presentations tonight, so we'll move on to public hearings. And we do have a public hearing tonight on the proposed 2021 budget. So I need to entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by trustee Tinaglia, seconded by trustee LaBedz. Roll call.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Mr. Reckloff, do you want to make some comments about this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I've got Finance Director Keeney in my office with me as well. This has obviously been a very unique year. As you all know, this is the final step in a long process to develop a village budget for 2021. The village board first discussed the budget back in June when projections were presented and budget ceilings and a proposed tax levy were discussed. A draft budget was developed through the summer and was provided to the village board and made available to the public in late October. In November, we held 2 budget meetings where each department discussed their budget, and the village board asked questions and had some discussion on the budget as a whole. Tonight is the formal public hearing and then final vote on the budget and tax levy for the year. This year's budget, as we discussed in November, really benefits from some good decision-making by the village board in previous years to help reduce costs and keep ourselves in good financial condition. We enter the year with healthy general fund reserves despite having no increase in the village's share of property taxes last year. The village has continuously maintained the 48 vacancies that were left unfilled since the 2008 recession. We have created another 13 temporary vacancies to help us through our current fiscal challenges here in 2020. Overall, general fund expenditures will end up being about $1.7 million under budget in 2020. A number of expenditure reductions and deferrals were made this year in light of the challenging economic situation our community is facing. The village board also reallocated budget surpluses back in 2018 and 19, which resulted in a reduction of our property tax levy by reducing our pension liabilities. As a result of these changes and at the direction of the village board this summer, staff is happy to say that we're in a position to propose a 0% increase in the village's portion of the property tax levy for a second year in a row this year. We're projecting, however, we will draw down our general fund reserves by $693,000. Overall, we believe this budget is a realistic and fair plan to continue to provide services that are to our residents while recognizing the economic challenges both the village government and our community are facing under these difficult times. We're happy to answer any questions the public may have at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Recklaus. We do have one hand from a member of the audience, and that's Keith Moons. Keith?
Hello, President Hayes and board. It's good to see you all virtually. Tonight, I'd like to recognize tonight to the staff and board for holding the line on a 0% tax levy increase for the second year in a row, especially this year. It's greatly appreciated. You know, usually at this time, the board is trying to minimize a tax increase, but this year is different. And the village, minimize it by the village, being only 12.5% of our total property tax pie, but the village is the second highest slice of that pie right behind education and twice as high as Cook County at 6%. So this 0% increase is a big deal. It is, especially to those of us that are below the median income line of $85,000. And we really appreciate that. But going forward, I'd like to borrow from the bulls here and say, let's go for a third year in a row of 0% increase. Tax levy increase, it'd be a three-peat. I mean, we're 2/3 of the way there already, so we can't stop now. Just consider a couple thoughts on that. There shouldn't be a hurry to rebuild the general fund surplus, because even after this year and that $692,000 drawdown, there still is a sizable cushion that remains in the general fund balance yet. And I understand that big fund balances preserve higher credit ratings, but I think in today's and into the future, foreseeable future anyway, there's going to be a low interest rate climate. So much of the benefit, so how much benefit is there really to quickly build up excess reserves to get a meager interest rate savings? So at higher rates, this would make some sense, but I think at lower rates, it really doesn't, because the savings is really not there versus the buildup in the fund. And in my opinion, I think the economy is going to struggle very much going forward in 2021. Providing tax relief for residents, the property tax is 80% of the general fund revenues, I think would outweigh any marginal gains from building up the general fund, under this low interest rate climate. So again, thank you all very much. It's greatly appreciated. Keep up the hard work on this, and please be careful out there. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moons, for those positive comments. And I agree with you that that should be our goal. But I also agree with you that the next year is going to be very challenging. And so I know the staff will continue to do their best, and the board is committed to keeping property tax levels as low as possible. So we will have to see what happens in the next year as a result of all the many uncertainties that we face. But thank you for those positive comments. Any other members of the audience wish to address the board on the 2021 proposed budget under the public hearing? I see none. Any comments or questions from the village board? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Scaletta, seconded by trustee Tinaglia. Roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, again, great work by our leadership within the village, and we thank them very much for their efforts. On behalf of all the residents in Arlington Heights, we will be passing the tax abatement ordinances later on under legal, and so that will be the final piece to the puzzle. So again, thanks to all members of the team for this great result. We'll move on then in the agenda to citizens to be heard. And Becky, did we receive any comments other than the one request to remove an item from the consent agenda?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Okay. Are there any members of the audience who wish to address the board under citizens to be heard? I believe we may have, is it Veronica Jasper? Are you there? Veronica, there you go.
Okay, I'm here with my husband, Pastor Julian Jasper.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Pastor Julian Jasper Jr.
And-
Go ahead. And we're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My wife, Veronica Jasper.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I know you've got some thank yous to express, but also a very good story to tell. So please proceed.
Thank you. So November 13th, there was an incident. And first, I would like to say hi to all of you, to the mayor and also to the village board. November 13th, there was an incident, a standoff incident that happened at Palatine Road, which involved our son. And as I'm sure all of you probably already know, we are African American. And I just want to thank Chief Pecora, the police department, the fire department, and all of the first responders who worked on behalf of my husband and I, seeing after our son's aid. And this is very important to us because with all of the racial injustice, things that are happening all across the world, we were quite distressed when we got that crisis call at about 8:20 p.m. We reside in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as my husband stated. So we immediately got on the road when we heard our son was in crisis mode. And of course, we did that being parents and knowing he's an African-American young man. So of course, our fear level had risen very, very high. I spoke with, I believe it was the paramedics, or it could have been an officer. And they assured me that they would stay on the phone with us as we traveled, and we were an hour away. And they kept the line open, and I apologize if we get emotional, but they kept the line open and we could hear all of the commotion with our son. And we pleaded, of course, being the parents that we are, we pleaded with the police department and everyone on the scene to be patient. We're on our way, and that our son was not a threat. Even though it looked and appeared as though he was not. we are so grateful for the two-way communication that remained open. And also, we are a family that believes in law enforcement. My mother-in-law is a retired detective. She also called the precinct and was talking on that end. And of course, we're praying. And then we realized there was also a pastor, the church that sits on that street as well, who was also trying to intervene. So there were a lot of things working in our son's favor. But we as parents are so grateful because it wasn't until I spoke with Chief Pecora that I found out that the entire police force is white. So it means a lot to us, because had it went the other way, guess what? Yeah, we probably would have got a lawyer right away, or, you know, what, that's just what people are doing nowadays. So we thought it was very important that we call right away to give thanks. And I also, my husband and I also sent flowers to the police department as well. And to show our appreciation and how de-escalation can work. I also talked to the chief, and I told him I looked at some footage that was captured, and it just took me into a whole nother different realm with a lot of emotion. And I asked him, why did it take so many officers to de-escalate? And he took his time with us on the phone and walked us through each lineup and what each lineup of officers meant, from crisis intervention officers to those who had the bean bags, and of course to those who had the artillery, the use of force. And we were just amazed. And you really don't understand the gratitude that we feel in our heart, and how the police department worked with us. And then what's really important is that they trusted us, I believe, as well. And my son, he's at work. Our son, he's doing very well. And he wanted to send his thanks as well. And that the way the situation looked, it was not his personality at all. And one thing he wanted me to share with all of you is that there was an officer, I'm not sure who it was, who did call my son by name and asked to have prayer with him, which obviously we're a religious family, but that triggered something inside of my son where he was able to come out of the car peacefully and receive the help that he needed. And I told Chief Pecora, I said, what's even more ironic to this story is that my husband, he's a professor at one of the colleges here, and he teaches funeral services, and he's also a licensed funeral director, and I'm a racial residue trainer. I said, so all of this was just ironic, because of course we didn't want to have to bury a child. And number two, when things work where people can get along regardless of color, or it just works out regardless of economic background, gender, political preference, where all we see is a life, that's important. So I want you all to know that we are so grateful. And if you could just share all of this with the police department, and I know I'm gonna start crying because it's difficult. Telling your child every day to be careful, because you don't know what he's going to encounter because of the color of his skin. And I live this every day as a mom, telling him to be careful. And so when we heard he was in this situation, we were praying, we were on the phone, then the phone went dead, and I'm just like, oh Lord Jesus. But by the time we made it to the scene, and an officer greeted us and told us everything was well, and everything worked out peacefully. And you all will just never understand the gratitude that we feel because it did work out. And maybe it's because we had a few things working in our favor, but also the training that your officers have, that means a lot, because what it proves is that, I know it's an all-white police force, but it worked without having an African-American person on the scene. And that's very important, And I know you all are working on diversity, inclusion, and all of this stuff, but please don't be, don't feel bad because there's not a Black person on the force, because what this shows us is that, a life is a life. And when you look at it that way, that's all that matters. And we do understand that sometimes it won't work out due to the high level or the intensity of the situation, or if there is obviously a direct threat. So we just wanted to share that with all of you, that you're doing a great job. And it means a lot to us. It means a lot. It means a lot. You just don't know. It means a lot. And I hope that as you all continue on, with your training, and Chief Pecora, he went through some things with me. I hope that, of course, there can be people of color added to the force, but you know what? It does us good to sit here to let you all know that it can work even if there's not a person of color there to help de-escalate, especially when you're assessing the situation and you have so much in place as Arlington Police Department did that night, where everyone played a role. And we will never know, if someone was, trigger antsy or trigger happy. But the thing about it is peace prevailed, and we are very grateful for that.
Well, Veronica and Pastor Jasper, I can't tell you how much it means to us to have you join us here this evening and to share your story, a story that could have very easily gone the other way. And
Yes.
so I know many prayers were answered that evening. I always say that it's but by the grace of God we go. But as you said, it's very helpful to throw in a lot of training and professionalism to go along with God's grace. And so we very much appreciate, as you say, the men and women of our police force and our fire department. And this is just one of many stories that we hear from our residents and those who interact with our police and fire departments about the professionalism of our force. And so we, again, just can't thank you enough for sharing your story here this evening. We're so glad to hear that Julian is doing well. And
Yes.
please give him our best. And please let us know how we can help with your family going forward. Again, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your story here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you again very much for that very inspiring story. I mean, Veronica had me crying as well, and so I very much appreciate their willingness to share this very positive story about the men and women of our fine police and fire department. So again, thank you for joining us, and please have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. All right, are there any other members of the audience that wish to address the board under citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we will then move on to old business. And we do have one item to report out from our committee, the whole meeting from earlier this evening, and I call on Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move now, as I did earlier this evening, to concur in the mayor's appointment of Dr. Afroz Hafiz to the Youth Commission with a term ending April 30th, 2021.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Canty. Any further questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, Afroz, are you visible? If you could make yourself visible, if you would.
Good evening.
All right, there you go. Okay. Now, to make it official, Dr. Hafiz, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me and we'll swear you in. I, and state your full name,
I, Afroz Hafiz,
having been appointed to the Youth Commission
having been appointed to Youth Commission
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, we know you will.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You
Thank
do
to
have
all-
you do have a couple other things that you need to do to make it finally official. One is to sign the oath that you just gave with our village clerk at some point in the near future. And so we'll make sure that we get that done. And then we will also be presenting you with a village logo pin, such as this one here, that all elected and appointed members of this community wear proudly as a representative of our residents. And so I know you'll wear it proudly. So thank you again for your willingness to serve. We look forward to working with you down the road.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor, all the trustees and the community members, and I look forward to working with everyone.
All right, congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no other old business, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we do have a request from Keith Moons to pull consent legal A regarding the ordinance fixing the time and place for a public hearing in connection with the amendment to the tax increment financing district number 4. And so that shall be pulled. Are there any other members of the audience who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any members of the board who wish to vote no or pass on any remaining item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the remaining items.
Move approval?
Second.
By trustees Baldino, seconded by trustee Tinaglia. Any further questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. We'll take up the removed item under legal. And so let's move on in the agenda to new business. And we do have one item to consider tonight. That's the request for sign variations for Minor School located at 1101 East Minor Street in the village. And is the petitioner present?
Hi, I'm Julie Jelick, the Assistant Superintendent for NSSEO Minor School.
All right, welcome, Julie. Why don't you just tell us briefly what you're looking to do here?
We built a handicap accessible playground at Minor School. That is really a unique playground. We're really proud of it. It was all paid through grants and donations. And it really is a multi-generational playground for not just able-bodied students, but also for individuals with disabilities. It is our school playground, but it's also open to the community on weekends and after school hours. And the Arlington Heights Park District was one of our partners in the process of building our playground. We are putting up signage now, or planning for signage, I should say, for Minor School. And it did go to your zoning commission, if I said that title correctly.
Design Commission.
Design Commission,
Right.
thank you, Design Commission, excuse me. And now it is coming to the village.
All right, thank you.
We also have Beth Ann Ostnamer here, who is with NSSEO also, who was an integral part in not only designing the playground, but accessing the funding for
All
the
right,
playground.
thanks for joining us, Beth Ann. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, we just to kind of explain the signage a little bit. our playground is set back a little further from the road. And so one of the signs is an entrance sign to kind of serve as a locator for the community for people who perhaps aren't just students or children that attend a Mother's Touch, which is also housed within the minor school building. And then we have a welcome sign and then a donor recognition sign. Julie mentioned Arlington Heights Park District. We also had the Arlington Heights Lions Club and quite a few other significant donors that supported it. And we really want to express our appreciation to all of the people who made this possible. We have 21 students that are in wheelchairs and have, mobility issues. And the playground, you have to go see it. It's amazing. It's
It is
really,
amazing.
really interesting. It's different, and there's things for everyone. Like if you only have the ability to press a button, you can utilize some of the equipment on the playground. It's fabulous. So we're really proud to be part of the community and have that type of a playground. And so we really just want to celebrate everyone and thank them. And then we also, have a sign for one of our students who passed away and his love of reading. So we have a reading corner that has like a storyteller's chair and these like little mushroom seats for people to sit on, for children to sit on and listen to, a teacher or a parent or a grandparent tell a story. So it's a neat place. And we hope that you will stop by and see it at some point. So, but thank you for considering our sign variations.
All right, thank you. Mr. Perkins, do you have anything to add?
Good evening, everybody. Just we'll add that they are seeking technically 4 variations for 4 signs. The property is zoned single-family residential, even though it's been a school for many, many years. The underlying property is zoned residential that does not allow these signs. The one sign is the entry sign into the playground is 12 foot tall. That really is the only sign that would be visible from Dryden Avenue. The rest of them are kind of tucked away behind the building, the ones that give recognition to the donors and the people that contributed to the playground. So both staff and the design commission recommended approval of the 4 variations that are requested.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perkins. Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. One quick question. Is this playground also going to, you mentioned that it's going to be accessible to the residents after school hours and on the weekends. Is this playground going to be accessible by the daycare center that shares the building?
Yes, they're already using it.
Okay. I thought so, but I didn't want to presume. Basically, in light of the discussion that we just had this past Thursday about diversity, equity, and inclusion, I just want to say that I am wholeheartedly in support of this project because diversity and inclusion is not just about race and gender and religion. It's about including those people with disabilities. And this just creates an atmosphere where we're including people with disabilities and embracing them and welcoming them into our community. And so I am so grateful for the local participation from the Park District, the School District 20. I would be honored to make a motion at the appropriate time to approve this item.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Trustee Baldino?
Oh, okay.
And thank you for your comments. Thank you so much.
Can I just ask, Mayor, if while Rich is looking for it, is it as simple as concurring with the design recommendation?
Yeah, it's thank you, John. It's a pretty complicated thing. I move to concur with the recommendation of the Design Commission for approval of these variations.
Second.
All right, we had a motion by trustee Baldino, a second by trustee Scaletta. Questions, further questions, trustee Scaletta?
So congratulations to both of you and congratulations to your board and everybody that was integral in getting this accomplished. I've worked with a charity over years that have given bicycles to children with disabilities. And I am telling you, there is nothing that makes you happier than seeing a child be able to do something else that another child who is more able do. So this has got to be so exciting for all of you. And yes, we have to have these codes in place to make sure that Arlington Heights looks as good as it does. But I hope that the process went smooth for you. And sorry that you had to go through it, but you have to go through it.
No, it was a great process.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Steve Hausinger and his entire design commission, they were very, very helpful. And, it is a complicated process and it needs to be. But they were wonderful helping us work through it. And we can appreciate the fact that it needs to happen as well. But thank you very much. I really hope you get to go see it because there's like what they call expression swings where an able-bodied person can sit on one side facing a student who doesn't have the ability to swing, and they can swing in tandem. And there's some really neat features.
I intend on seeing it. Thank you, Mayor. I have no other questions.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz, trustee LaBedz,
I saw her shake her head.
She nodded yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, congratulations to you both and all the members over at NSSEO. And I'm looking forward to getting over there, especially as soon as possible. But hopefully next year when the weather's good and everyone can take their masks off and really enjoy this playground. So congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you. And we will send you an invite to the ribbon cutting whenever that takes place.
When it's safe to gather.
There you go.
Exactly.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. But
We hope so, too.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time and consideration.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And yes, from me, I'm sorry, I'm having internet connection problems and switching between devices. So I hope you saw my yes nod.
Okay, we did. Thank you. All right, there is no other new business, so we'll move on to legal. And let's go ahead and take the removed item regarding the ordinance regarding TIF 4. And so, Mr. Recklouse, you want to introduce that? Randy, you're muted.
I don't know if Mr. Perkins wants to introduce this one as he's more intimately involved.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, this is just an ordinance that's legally required under statute to set a time and place for the Joint Review Board and for the Redevelopment Commission to consider an amendment to TIF 4, which is at the northeast corner of Gulf Road and Arlington Heights Roads. Essentially, we are looking at changing the land use plan. Currently it's commercial, and we're looking at changing the land use plan to mixed use. So that'll be the topic of the public hearings to amend the redevelopment plan. Bill Enright is also on the Zoom meeting, and any more detailed technical questions, Bill is able to answer those as well.
Right. Are there any questions from the board? I know Mr. Moons had removed this, and so Keith, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you, President Hayes and Mr. Perkins. So the only thing this is doing is that it's changing the land use over to a mixed use. Do I understand that correctly?
That's the major change that'll be discussed at the Joint Review Board, which consists of the taxing districts in the area. and then the redevelopment commission will discuss that, and then it will come back to the village board at a subsequent date. So the only thing this ordinance does is sets the date of those two meetings.
Okay, okay. So this mixed use is, who decides to change it to a mixed use? I mean, is that for housing or what, why is that being changed now?
Well, that we'll get into that at the joint review board meeting and the redevelopment commission meeting. But basically, we did a study a few years ago and hired a consultant. That study and the market study indicated that the shopping center is larger than the market that would dictate the need for the size of the shopping center. And there's less and less retailers nowadays that would fill that center or any redevelopment of the center. So we're making the plan and the potential land uses more flexible to entice more development. We anticipate commercial still being along the frontage along Gulf Road, but it could be some type of residential or office or other mixed use in the rear portion with any future potential redevelopment of the shopping center.
Thank you, President Hayes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moons. All right, if no other comments from the board or from the audience on this, I need a motion to approve the ordinance.
Move approval.
Motion by trustee Scaletta, seconded by trustee Canty. Roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. We do have some ordinances remaining to abate taxes and to conclude our work on the budget. And so who would like to take the first ordinance? Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor.
John, you're muted.
Thank you. You know what? I can't have multiple screens going in. Use the space bar. Sorry about that. All right. I move that the village board approve the ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2020, heretofore levied to pay principal and interest on $2,855,000 general obligation bonds, series 2010 of the Village of Arlington Heights.
Again.
Second.
All right, the motion was by trustee Scaletta, seconded by trustee Rosenberg. Any further questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Any volunteers for the next one? Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the village board approve the ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2020, heretofore levied to pay principal and interest on $9,530,000 general obligation bonds, series 2010 of the Village of Arlington Heights.
Again.
Motion by trustee Baldino, second by trustee Rosenberg. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. And who's next? Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you. I move that an ordinance adopting a budget and appropriations ordinance and amounts set forth therein for the year commencing January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021.
Second.
Second.
Motion by trustee LaBedz, seconded by trustee Baldino. Any further questions or comments from the board or the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. And last but not least, trustee Schwingbeck.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that the village board approve the ordinance providing for the levy, assessment, and collection of taxes for the year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021 for the village of Arlington Heights. Second.
A motion by trustee Schwingbeck, seconded by trustee Padovani. Any questions or comments from the board or the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. We move on to the report of the village manager. Mr. Reckloss, anything tonight?
Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything from the board under petitions and communications? Seeing none, I have nothing further, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
By
Second.
trustee Tinaglia, seconded by trustee Scaletta. Roll call.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
trustee Canty,
Yes.
trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
trustee Padovani,
Yes.
trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
trustee Baldino,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes, thank you all for joining us tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
I
Happy Hanukkah.